let's do something a bit different now and work with some essential oil and some herbs. So we're going to do a botanical type of wax melt now. And I have a very large bottle of peppermint essential oil here. And with my peppermint essential oil, instead of using a 10% fragrance that I've used with the other fragrances that you've watched so far, I'm going to use only 7%. So this is 35 grams because I have 500 grams of wax melting right now for it. So I'm only going to use 7% just simply because peppermint essential oil is very, very strong. And I think that 10% would be, one, overwhelming, and two, a bit unnecessary to get the effect that we're going for with this. So I've just got some peppermint tea leaves. You can use your own peppermint from your garden, but you must make sure that it is thoroughly dry first because you do not want the water content to be mixing with the wax. It just won't work. Water and wax do not go together. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm just going to sprinkle in some peppermint into the bottom of my wax melt containers here. And then I'm going to pour my wax on top and then sprinkle a bit of the peppermint on top as well. Now I must stress to you that if anybody of you know, if you know what peppermint is good for, peppermint's really good for headaches, right? But you must be really careful when you make claims with your products that you cannot make any medical claims stating that these wax melts will help you with your headaches. Simply just what I do, oh sorry, those are very stuck together. What I do is I call it an aromatherapy collection, and I call it simply peppermint, and then I let my customers infer for themselves what that means. Now all you can say is that it helps to relieve the headache symptoms, but you got to be so careful with what you claim with your products, and you can't say that it's a headache relief kind of thing. You can't make any sort of medical claims like that, or you know, say anything about those bad headaches called migraines. You don't touch any of that stuff because you'll just end up with the FDA in America or wherever you are in the world. You'll end up with problems with the government and medical doctors, and you just can't do that. So be very careful when you are making botanical wax melts that you're staying within the realms of legality. Like if I was going to do a lavender one, I would be not stating that it's for like restful sleep, you know what I mean? Like simply just say it's relaxing. And most people who know that lavender is relaxing. So, you know, you can say it can help you relax, but I wouldn't say anything about that it can absolutely calm you or anything like that. Or, yeah, don't say anything about like depression, moods, or, yeah, just be careful with when you're doing botanical ones. An easy way to get out of it is just to simply say this is an aromatherapy collection, and then state exactly the herb or scent that you're using. Like, for example, this one is just peppermint, and I just say peppermint and call it an aromatherapy collection. I have my wax melted now, and I have stirred in my peppermint essential oil. All of those steps are still the same, and I'm just going to pour in the wax now into the containers, and you can see how this is just like the mica and how it just moves all over the place. So with when you're using botanicals, you'll kind of need to use the wax to disperse them. Oh, we might not need to put any on the top. Look at how it is kind of dispersing throughout the wax. I'll zoom in so you can see that here. So I'm just going to pour it in a little bit slower just to see where I need to. See, I can move the herbs around or the peppermint leaves around with my jug as I'm pouring it. So as these ones have come into the corners there, I can kind of take some wax, move it around, and get them to disperse a bit better than just all concentrated in one area. This is definitely an art form. Let's do this one here. Get that centered so you can see better. We'll pour one more to show you, and then I'll show you the finished product. Now the only reason I would add any botanicals to the top of this is if I looked at it after I was done pouring it and I wasn't satisfied with how the herbs are dispersing throughout. If you can look back at this one here, the first one I poured, that they have kind of sunk down to the bottom. So I might let this half cool and then add herbs to it, because I have a suspicion that if I just put some on right now, they'll sink. Let's try this. So I'm putting some on top, and I'm seeing, are they just going to sink? Or will they stay on the top? Oh, that's interesting. The ones I sprinkle on the top seem to be staying on top of the wax. So this is going to vary with how heavy or how large your particles or your botanicals are. If they're a large rosebud, it will sink absolutely to the bottom. It's not probably something that I would use in these containers. And you'll just have to see. Maybe lavender flowers, they would be heavier as well. Some of them might be light. It's going to be something that you'll have to experiment with for yourself to see, when do I need to add the botanicals to the top? Or maybe that's not even the effect that you're going for, and if not, that's totally fine as well. These are your melts. You do them the way that you would like to do them to get the effect that you like. When you get this white film as opposed to this clear, when your wax melts are clear like that, they're still hardening. But when they start getting this white film and they're starting to, look like the hardened wax, what you can do is you can just sprinkle now some peppermint. See, I had extras that I didn't fill up, so I'm just going to sprinkle some of this onto the tops here, and just add a little bit of extra touch. But just watch for when they start to look like this white color, as opposed to like the clear where you can see through the bottom. Here you can't anymore, and that's a good time to add the botanicals to the tops of your melts. And here's the finished product. The wax is hardened, and you can see that the botanicals have spread out really nicely on the bottom, and they stayed on the top, and it looks really good, and they smell really awesome. So now they're ready to be closed up. So I always do the top first, then do down the sides afterwards. Then you can just pop your label on them, and they're ready to go.